Hello guys and welcome to Scarlet Monastery, Cathedral. This is like a pivot point for multi-boxers. At least I've always felt that, this is the moment I look forward to, is coming to this instance, this particular one. Because it's just kind of like, you put in all this time and effort and now you're going to actually get gear that lasts you 10 levels. So it has value. When you get a drop from BFD or WC or something like that, it's nice, but I mean, in 5 levels and you can buy green, that's probably going to be better. But here, it actually has value, and it's kind of like a turning point because there's so many things that happen around this time. You're going to get your mount, you're going to get some big class changing abilities like plate or your 30-point talents and stuff like that. So it's always a fun time, at least for me, to look forward to. So from my experience so far running the instances, you'll notice I'm not AoE grinding this. This is actually the very first time I'm coming in here with this group. And the very first time I go into an instance, I like to do it this way first, just to kind of get a feel for it. Because I have to remember, like from a decade ago, what abilities they have. Like when I run this, I learn, some of them heal, some of them have AoE damage. This is not the most efficient use of gaining experience being in here right now. If the mob is your level, but you want them to really be 2 levels below you, it's still yellow, but that's the sweet spot. When they're 2 levels below you, I can AoE down everything before they run, and it works out very well in terms of experience efficiency. But if they're your level or higher, they'll run. Like they'll run away, or you'll run out of mana, or both, and then it turns into a real mess. So in here, actually the bosses are orange, which I kind of suspected might happen. But when they're orange like that, sometimes it's not a big deal, sometimes it is. I really don't, I didn't know what was going to happen coming in here, but I figured let me get the gear grind now, because I've been in SM, dude, for like ever. Starting with graveyard to armory to here, and I'm looking forward to just getting the hats for all the mages, and then like the shield and whatever else, the necklace and whatever else I can get out of here, and then get out of Dodge. I've just had enough. I'm gonna have to pause this a minute. Okay, I'm back. I'm actually not feeling well today, which gave me time to actually do this commentary video. But every time the phone goes off, I gotta answer it because it's work and they need something. Alright, so let's get, where was I? Let me see, right here. Okay, I think this is where we left off. So yeah, I'm having a blast with this team, man. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I did a lot of changes, and I'll kind of go over why. Wait, I've done this before. I've taken 2 groups to cap in the past in vanilla. Well, technically one in vanilla, the other in BC. In vanilla, I did 1 priest and 4 warlocks, which for questing purposes is amazing. If you spec affliction, because you can literally just run around and have 4 insta-cast dots on a cast sequence macro, and then hit the button 4 times and win. And so it's like you're always mobile. The key is just to keep moving, and it's pretty cool. The problem is when you get to 50, it doesn't really matter what your group is made out of in terms of what your class selection is until you hit 50. After 50, it matters. Cleave is the reason. Like when you go into BFD and those mobs start cleaving, Warlock pets do not make good tanks, and they will mow down those pets, and so you have to heal the hell out of them. You get healing aggro, and guess what? Now it's a real mess. So my next group, when BC came out, I did 4 shaman and 1 paladin tank. That was amazing. That did very good. However, it did very poorly in the BC instances due to mechanics requiring movement. I was hardware boxing at the time. Software, there was no communication yet whether it was allowed or not. I didn't want to risk it, but I can tell you that I struggled very much on instances required moving out of fire and stuff like that. This time around, I knew going in there's really no movement based instances. I mean, there is with Baron or whatever the guy is, and Strat, you know, like keeping distance. That's manageable, but no having to move around. So I knew I'm good there. So I decided to do 4 different classes just to kind of make things more difficult. And to be fair, software multi-boxing in comparison to hardware is much easier. Hardware, you're very limited. Software gives you a lot of extra convenient tools, just stuff that people have done over the last decade that they've integrated it in to make life improvement features, and you can really feel it. Like, it's night and day in comparison. The only thing I'd say about hardware boxing is it's easy to set up. I mean, because it's literally like taking a stereo and hooking up multiple speakers, the speakers being computers. So when you play a song or a keystroke, it goes out of all those speakers or computers. Whereas this, there's a lot of software configuration and stuff to learn. I actually spent like 8 hours watching video, and I still don't know a lot. I still ask questions, like how to do things. Like if you notice, there's certain things I do, I'll switch screens and use abilities. Part of it's laziness, just because I don't want to spend so much time trying to figure out how to do it. So it's a little bit of laziness on my part, but I'll get there. At one point, I did communicate that I would switch out my tank to a warrior, because I had like a 32 prot warrior, which I couldn't find groups with. Which kind of started this, because I was tired of waiting. Well, I tried him, and he did okay, but the Paladin, in my opinion, for multi-boxing purposes only, is far more powerful. And it comes down to buffs. It's all about the buffs. Being able to, like Blessing of Kings, the 10% bonus, doesn't sound like a lot. But if you times that by 5 characters, it's massive, and you can feel the difference. Like when you play the whole group and can feel that buff across the whole team, it's huge. Things you would not really notice as a single player until you do the group aspect. Come on, Case, that's more. So I like that. Giving armor to all the mages is always a bonus. Plus all the little features like Hammer of Wrath and Blessing of Protection and things like that, and the emergency heal and lay on hands and stuff like that. It's pretty good. So I'm going to stick with this dude. He's doing very well for me so far. I will say that it's kind of nice to be able to front load your aggro from the start, but one of the weaknesses of the Paladin is that holding aggro on multiple targets is sometimes challenging. I usually have to hold back healing until he gets to about a quarter of the way down when I'm fighting multiple mobs. Unless I take the time to CC them all, that's just what I have to do because he's not really holding aggro. Now the new 30-point talent I got, the Holy Shield, I think it does damage when they attack. That actually will hold them on you. It's pretty good, but man, it eats the mana up fast. I mean, if you use that a couple times, you'll be out of mana in a hurry in a fight. So it's kind of situational. I would like the talent if it was more mana efficient, but like you can't just have that up all the time and not expect to go out of mana. The Blessing of Wisdom buff is by far the best. Now I run Blessing of Protection. I run Kings on content like this generally. But if the mobs are real easy and stuff like that, I'll use Blessing of Wisdom, and those ticks over time for the whole group save you so many times where you'd have to sit down and drink. It's really nice. So that's why I like the Paladin. It just has, for a caster team, everything you could really want. I've had requests in other games to do a webcam feed when making my videos and stuff like that, when I would make guides and stuff like that. And I've thought about it, but ultimately I've decided not to do that ever. I like to keep work life work, home life home, game life game. That's just kind of how the system I have, and there's a reason for that. While I was not the first multi-boxer, I was the third, I guess you'd say, and my videos got a lot of attention, which is kind of nice. The problem, however, was that I got a lot of hate mail and death threats and things like that because what I was doing at the time was relatively new. And people were very angry about it. Very angry. I get tells all the time about people telling me what a bad person I am, how I'm ruining the game, and those kind of things. But what really did it for me was the amount of effort people used to try to find out who I was. Like if you Google Bradster Wow or something like that from my past videos, you'll see a bunch of threads. But in doing that research, you'll find sites where people were doing who has look up for my domain name, because at the time YouTube wasn't really a thing, or they blocked most music, so I just had my own website, bradster.net, that I've long gotten rid of a long time ago. But people were actually reaching out to the host provider to find out who I was. I mean, why is what was creepy about it. What are you going to do with that information? And that kind of felt threatening towards my family. And so, not even my wife, my immediate family don't know. They know I make videos. They don't know who I am. Vice versa, I keep everything separate. You know what I mean? They have nothing to do with one another. And I don't want to integrate them in any way at any time. So that's why you'll never see me on the front or, in a webcam. Because there's nothing to gain but risk after seeing how creepy that was. If you can get what I'm, on the topic of YouTube now. I've been watching some of the other multi-boxers during my lunch breaks. It's actually, it makes me look forward to my lunch, seeing what some of the other guys are up to. And I found this one guy, Dalo, I think. D-A-L-O? I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. But I really enjoy his. He does commentary for his videos, so I thought I would do one. I'm not really a commentary kind of guy. I like going over guides and stuff like that, but to entertain someone for an hour, I'm not that interesting. But his stuff, he's fun to listen to, and you can tell he's a busy man because when you listen to his videos, he's always eating something. I think I've gained like 2 pounds listening to the guy because he'll like have cake or tea or something, and it's like, damn, man, I could go for some cake right about now. So thanks, man, if you're listening. But yeah, like watching his, it's very educational. Just seeing him run the instances, and it's like, okay, I know what to look forward to or what to do, and because it's been so long, so it was kind of exciting. So if you get bored, check him out too. Yeah, I really enjoyed watching his. They're pretty good. A couple things to prepare if you decide to multi-box. If you want to do something like this, it's not that difficult. It just takes time to learn, and it's not something difficult to learn. It's something new, and so you have to do your research, and by research, just watch videos. Dualboxing.com is the number one place to go, really, to learn how to do this. And then, if you wish, there's like 11 different flavors of software. I use ISBoxer. It's kind of like has the most features of them all. There's an individual. Mirai, he made about 8 hours of video on, probably more than that. That's how much I've just watched of him going over how to configure it and what are some of the features do. I mean, it's a very detailed, deep dive into it, and all its features. He's been using the software for decades, so he knows what he's talking about. So I watched him for 8 hours, and I did this while looking for group on my hunter and then later my prot warrior. I wasn't getting anything done, just waiting and spamming every 5 minutes. So I figured I'd watch those videos, and inside of a week I was done. Like, I got all the research done and felt comfortable enough to go ahead and get started. It'll test your will to live, to level them up to like level 16. Before instances, because you hardly have any abilities, the mobs, they yield very little XP, in a full group. And so the only content you have is open world content in a starter area. So you're getting like 15, 20 XP per kill, which is nothing. So it took me like 3 days of just mind-numbingly killing stuff like boars to get to 16, which is technically not high enough to do dead mines. But if you did Horde, it would be a lot easier just because you have that instance in Ogremar, which would make life a lot easier. I never had to grind this long. Like, I always went there and always did boxing as Horde, never Alliance. So as Alliance, it's more difficult to get started just because it's very painful and boring. But I tell you, once you get there, you can only clear up to like the second door, but you can reset it. But after that, like, you're loving life. You're just relaxing, having a good time, and it's just you. Arguably, the class selection you choose makes a difference as well. All mine are casters that require to stop, just with my builds of using bolts of some kind. Whereas if you had instacast, at least you're trucking around getting stuff done. So it would make things a little faster. Another cool thing about multiboxing is you get to do everything at your own pace. I don't know about you, but my favorite class to play in any MMO is a tank. I enjoy tanking, but let's face it, when you're out in the wild with a bunch of people you don't know, they don't make the best choices. Hey, let's open up multi-shot on this pool before the tank gets there. What's the worst that could happen? Those kind of things happen. We've all been there. That doesn't happen because you're in full control, man. So not only, you can choose when to start DPS. You have control of the entire thing. You know how awesome it is? Like, you go into Nomer, and there's this hallway. You've never been down it in your life. It's like, what is down there? Now you can go down there and find out. You can, explore in the instances. You can take your time, really take it all in and see the amount of detail and artwork that went into it. Things you wouldn't be able to do before. Also, you can AFK anytime you want. So it's like, I want to go step. I want to have dinner and just park right there. The only downside of that is repops. If you wipe later after like a 20-minute AFK, you might have to re-clear some areas to get back to where you were. But other than that, like, it's nice just having a pause button. And of course, Blizzard has to put in those roaming patrols once in a while where you go AFK after you clear all this stuff and you think life is good, and you come back and you're all dead. That's happened to me before. And Nomer, actually, I was almost to the boss. I hadn't killed the main boss yet, but I was like going down that ramp, and I went AFK and came back. I was like, man. So I had to re-clear. That boss, by the way, or leading down to it, you got all those dwarfs that drop those landmines. Boy, it took me a while to figure that out. The big robots, they do this reflect damage, but so I'd have to stop bolting, but at the same time, because he'd reflect back and kill my team. But I learned that AoE attacks aren't affected by it, and the AoE attacks actually take out the landmines too. So by going down that ramp just using pure AoE, it would work great. Or if I just had to fight one of those big robots, I would do like one set of bolts and then just wind them down. Just things you learn as you go. Alright, I'm going to go over my setup of how I had things configured in terms of the abilities and stuff like that. And once I'm finished, I think you'll agree that what I'm doing is not that difficult. It's just, a lot to manage at first, but over time it's just muscle memory, you get used to it. So first I'm going to go over healing. If you look at the health bars, you'll see a discoloration on the right side about halfway in, there's like a big discolored area across all the characters. That's clickable. They're called click repeaters. And so if I left click one of those, it does a flash heal on whatever character I have it over. If I right click, that's a shield. If I mouse wheel up, it is renew. Mouse wheel down is dispel. And that's it. That's all the playable buttons that I have for my priest right now. Like, I could use the AoE heal and like add some keybind for that later, but that's all I'm using. That's taking care of all healing right there. Done. Then I'm just using the hotbar, the one hotbar at the bottom. I mean, I definitely need to expand on that, without a doubt. It's to that point now, and I just have to put in the research and time. But I'll go over that. The first button is just the casting the seal from the paladin. It doesn't do anything on any of the other characters when I press 1, just the paladin. 2, while blank on the paladin, what that does is handles the bolts on the 2 mages and warlock. That's all that does. So the priest and the paladin, when I hit 2, nothing happens. 3, just again a paladin button only. That's just releases the seal or the judgment. And that's it. So paladin, I'm only using 1 and 3. Healing, I've just covered by mousing over the individual portraits to take care of the healing aspect. 2, that's your DPS button. Now 4, this is when it gets a little complicated. So when I hit 4, that activates Hellfire on the Warlock, but it also activates Cold of Cone on both mages. You see, the cooldown time on Cold of Cone is 10 seconds. So when I hit that, it won't work again for another 10 seconds. But the cast time on Hellfire, it lasts 15 seconds channeled. So all I have to remember, as soon as Hellfire is done, when I hit 4 again, I'll get 2 Cold of Cones and another Hellfire out of it. If I'm on the move, Hellfire doesn't work. So like if I just want to clear something real fast, like some low mobs that just hit 4 and 2 Cold of Cones, bam, they're instantly dead. 5 only does the mages. That's arcane explosions. So when you see me doing the DPS of AoE grinding, all I'm literally doing is hitting 4 to do the Cold of Cones, Hellfire, get that going, and then I spam 5 and wait for Hellfire to finish. And I hit 4 again, then go back to 5, and then using the mouse to take care of the healing. And then occasionally, if I have time, if the incoming DPS isn't crazy, I'll get on the tank and have him start DPSing stuff. But that's essentially all I'm doing. Where are we at? 6. 6 is just evocation, just the mages only. 7 is 1 for all characters. That's nice when you're out of mana or something like that, or you just want to DPS something down. 8, all that does is makes water. All it does. 9 and 10 are sheeps. So I'll click 1, hit the sheep, or hit the button, and then click another mob, hit the sheep. Now I've just CC'd 2 different mobs. Now I could add a 3rd and a 4th in there later. I could do Shackle from the priest, and I could do the succubus thing on the warlock. So there's that too. That's something I can add later. The minus key is drinking for all characters, and 11 is warlock only. That's just life tap. And you need that because the warlock runs out of mana pretty fast, whereas the mages, especially if you're running frost bolts, will have a lot more mana. So like if I go to the trainer and my highest spell is trained is now the new rank frost spell, I'll use that, and then I'll run out of power on the warlock. So I definitely need life tap. Between using frost, life tap, and blessing of wisdom, you don't have to drink much. You go a pretty long time. Quit snoring. The cat keeps snoring. So anyway, it's pretty efficient. That's all I'm doing. All the stuff you see on the top, that's just stuff that I click for the paladin. Paladin only stuff. And then, like I said, like on the priest, I'll switch that window and do the big AoE heal. Again, laziness. I have not made a keybind for that. I have to do some more research and figure out just kind of how to do things like make a mount button for all and stuff like that. It's just a matter of sitting down and tweaking it. What I'm really looking forward to is I have Arcane Power now, the 30-point talent on the mages, and Power Infusion from the priest. So giving the mages Arcane Power and infusing the Warlock, that'll be a serious AoE. So that'll be like the ultimate win button. So I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, now that I've reviewed to you what I'm pressing, does that really sound that complicated? It's not. It's not. It really isn't. Again, at first, it's like, Jesus, a lot to manage. But it just comes in time, Like, by the time you leave Dead Minds, you're good. I mean, it doesn't take long. You're absolutely good. I know I'm kind of doing long pulls, but again, first time in this instance, and I want time to DPS these things down if they run. Because if they run, I'm going to wipe, and I'll probably have to re-cleared up to this point. And I'm really looking forward to this boss, man. I've waited a long time to get here. So I'm hoping to take it out this run. We'll see what happens. It's all about the CC here. If I don't CC these mobs, I'll get healing aggro, and they do some pretty nasty damage to cloth. Instead to the priest side. I kind of have to focus. Now later in like 2 levels, I can mow these down, no problem. But when they're, your level or higher, you just kind of have to take your time. You can't do every instance with big pulls. Although those are therapeutic. When you first enter an instance, and they're that level or higher, that's just kind of how you have to do it. At least with this team. And plus, you kind of take your time because you learn things. Like I did, I was doing those giant AoE pulls in RFD, Razor Fin Downs, yeah. And I learned after I did a massive pull, the ghost mobs do a silence, and so I got to just sit there and watch what happens when all your characters are silenced. So you just kind of have to take your time the first run. Also, I actually enjoy doing instances this way, first AoE grinding. To me, AoE grinding is kind of like cheese. It feels cheesy to me. It's like retail. I prefer like something more classic like this experience. I love doing it instances this way, which is why I'm looking forward to like the high-end content, the in-game stuff, just to be able to do things normally. Most of your life is spent in an instance. Now, there are some people that quest. You see, a lot of things that people don't consider as questing as a multi-boxer. Let's take, for example, Silent Hill. You need to pick up 15 bandanas to turn that in. That doesn't sound like a problem, does it? Well, now you need 50 of them. Now, can you imagine grinding 50 of those in an area that's populated like that? And where people are tagging and crazy, and you really can't AoE yet what that's like. That's painful. I did it because there was a chain that I wanted to get that quest done. Plus, I found an area that was respawning very quickly, so I just kept killing them over and over and over. But any quest like that, not very enjoyable. Like the badges in Arathi Highlands. I think that took me 2.5 hours to finish that. Because, they take a while just to collect it on one because they don't drop off every mob. But, man, across 5, whew. I don't know why, but any outdoor elites drop better loot. Change my mind. I'm telling you. Anytime I go out to, like, wetland elites doing those quests and any outside stuff seems to drop really good stuff all the time. First instances. I don't know if the drop rate is increased or what, but there are some things that I always wanted to do. Like in Fairless, there's elites dragging things out there, and same thing in the wetlands. And it would be interesting to grind those for a while to see what that's like. Like, what do those drop? Because I've never killed those as a single player. Well, let's talk about goals. at least on how I made out. When you're doing instances, it takes longer to grind, thus you make more money, because you spend longer time grinding to get the levels, so you realistically make more money. Well, that's true in most cases. This server, I guess the alliance side just isn't very large. Like, the market isn't where it would normally be in any other WoW experience that I've had. It feels like, well, that's not true. I mean, I've been on low pop servers before, and you sit on piles of mats and things don't really move. Well, it's just now starting to move stuff. But like yesterday, I checked the mail and my mailbox was full, and I vendored about 50 greens, to give you an idea. So, I mean, I could potentially be making a lot more. And the thing is, like, enchanting mats don't go for... Sometimes it's more lucrative to sell the item than it is to disenchant. Just because here, I'm on the old Blanchy server, the market just isn't very healthy. So, I mean, I'd be sitting pretty if the market was more active. So... One thing that helped me out is I have two characters that don't need mounts. I don't have to buy them. So the Paladin and Warlock, I was good. Plus, I had a 59 Hunter that I bought bags for all my characters and gave them, I think, 25 gold each to start things off. That's, at level 10. That's where they sat, bagged up, 25 gold each. And that's pretty much what I did. I mean, I would throw items on the grays on the other characters to vendor them, and over time, when I went to do the mounts, I did have enough. But honestly, between all my characters combined, I think I might have 120 gold. And that's my fault at this point. I've been buying up ore and things like that. I got blacksmithing to like 258, I think, doing armor smith. And actually, I've never done blacksmithing, crafting in Classic. Never. Just because the mats sell for so much that I decided, I would never invest in it. This time I'm going to. I don't know why, just for something to do. The tailor, my priest, he's pretty close. He's just finishing off Mage Weave and almost on to Runecloth now. And enchanting is locked at 225. I'm level 41 now at the making of this video, so I'm ready for Ultimate. So what I need to do is, before I go to a new instance, I like to do a little reading first. What loot drops in there, for one, so I know what I'm going to farm and then reset, in case there's something like, as an example, Razorfin Downs. Really, there was only one thing I wanted out of there, and everything I wanted dropped off the same boss. So I'd go up, kill the guy for the robes, the Lich, and then I got 4 of those robes, and I wanted the helm. It didn't drop for me, but it wasn't that important, whereas the robes were, just because they're going to last a long time. I got what I wanted. I'm done with the instance. I think I ran it 7-8 times. That was it. So now, Ultimate. I have to do the research on the quest, like where I need to go. So I know I need to go to the Swallow Marsh to grab it, and then one from there. One from the Dwarf area, I can't think. Mithril, not Harbor, but the other one, between that and Ironforge. The one that connects to Blasting Land, or Badlands, and then I have to go in Badlands and pick up all those. I'll do all the outside ones. So when I go in there, I'll have everything I need. I'll get a nice infusion of XP when I'm done the run. But I'm going to be farming that one a lot, just because of enchanting. That's where the trainer is. And I'm sitting on a pile of mats. I mean, a pile. I don't know how far I can take it, but it's pretty far with what I have in stock in terms of leveling it. And then life is good after that. It's debatable whether to disenchant things versus vendoring it, because like I said, the market's not that great. So like right now I can sell quest rewards and items for sometimes over gold. sometimes 2. And that just goes up in time. If I were to disenchant that, the value of it could be lower than the vendor cost, or around the same, minus the listing fee. So that just all depends on the market, on how good your money is going to go. But I tell you, with Dire Maul being available with fell cloth, that's going to be huge, man. Huge. Just because I don't know why, like the demonoid mods for me, I always felt had the best loot in the game for vanilla. And Fellwood, I would farm those things for the fell cloth, the regular cloth, and then the green drops. And I've gotten a couple blues off of them. Like they dropped the best in slot hunter weapon pre-raid with the plus hit on it. And then so anyway, farming that instance over and over, I feel that I'm going to make out pretty well, especially with all that cloth in there. And I can really start making the money. I noticed the Mage Weave cloth does sell for over gold a stack, and it does move, so I think I can make some good money there. In addition to that, the fell cloth, and then I'm told that there's 3 thorium nodes at the end, which is huge. The Paladin, I'm only in like 180, I think, level. I have some mining levels to catch up on, but when I go in there, I won't go in until I'm ready, where I can mine that, and then life is good. It's very good. My favorite thing about software multi-boxing over hardware is cost savings and comfort. When I did this before, I had 5 computers, and this was back in 07. So these are like Core 2 Duo systems and things like that. What you need to know is they run hot, very hot. So hot that I had, at the time, I was only living in an apartment. It's a 1-bedroom. So I had an air conditioner in the living room and one in the bedroom, and I'd have those on full blast, and they did nothing. Absolutely nothing. And the way the windows were designed, these were like window units in the wall. So the windows that I had they slide horizontally. So I couldn't put a window unit in. So I bought a special air conditioner that it sits upright, and then it was designed, you sit it in the apartment, and then the vent goes out that window, and that's the way it's designed. It fills that gap. And so I added that. So I was running 3 air conditioners and 5 computers. Electric bill, hello. My electric bills were insane. And even running all 3 of those air conditioners, I'd be lucky if it was 71. Like 71 was a good day. In the winter time, I would crack the windows in February. I mean, it'd be like 5 degrees out. I have the window open. That was actually comfortable. But yeah, I would take 2 showers a day minimum, just because sitting there, you just sweat from all that heat wafting around. It would be like convection, man. I had all that air blowing from all the air conditioners. It would just, convection over your body all day, and you'd be dehydrated. You had to drink a lot. I mean, it was ridiculous. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess when you're younger like that, I don't know. Like, looking back, it's like, Jesus, man, you got a problem. Who does something like that? That's me. But yeah, man, the electric bill is insane. And the heat. But now, like, just being able to run it on one computer, it just makes sense. I mean, just bam, you're done. And I don't know, it runs cool. Like, I don't even have the air conditioner on, although it's cooling off outside now. And worst, I mean, it doesn't even heat up in here. It's awesome. The worst part about it was I was a smoker at the time too. So I'm in this enclosed area. Secondhand smoke is just blowing throughout this 1-bedroom apartment. And somehow I had a wife to put up with it. I don't know how. She's a saint for doing so. So looking back, I'd never point in that kind of shit today. Running that kind of power actually took logistics. Due to the power requirements of the air conditioner, I had to tap off at different circuits. Like you can't have 5 computers. Technically I had 6. I used the 6th one to look up quests and stuff, but you can't run that many on a single outlet. So what I had to do is bridge it. I would go and I would tap into another circuit, you know, on a different breaker and divide the load up that way. And then, you know, once I added the 3rd air conditioner, then that would kick off the breaker. So it took a while of just micromanaging. I actually had a power watt meter, and I would just read the amount of power being drawn and divide the load up the best I could. It took a while, but I eventually got everything there. But yeah, I mean, that's a lot of work just to run a couple computers, you know what I mean? But, you know, today's days, who would do something like that? It's just kind of insane. I'm sure I'm grateful that they brought back Classic. My favorite time in WoW was the Will of the Forsaken. No, Wrath of the Lich King, that's the one. That's, after that I stopped. But what I liked about that instance the most was, or I'm sorry, that expansion was the 5-man dungeon reward gear. So you didn't have to worry so much about drops. You could just get what you want and voila, you know. And at the end you have this nice gear set. That was pretty cool. And after that, you know, I played EVE Online for a while, but not for very long, maybe 8 months. And so for like 8 years, I've only played stuff single player for the most part. Like I do Ark and what else do I got? I did Ark and Kenshi and a couple games like that. But I never really invested a heavy amount of time in any of those. I just haven't really gained much at all. I just work on the house and projects and things like that and do other hobbies. Like the gaming world, just there hasn't been anything worth a while in a very long time for me personally. I don't like first-person shooter games at all. Like back with the Doom era, I was pretty good because there was like 5 buttons. I did all right, you know what I mean? But now, there's no way in hell I can compete with a 12-year-old. I'm so bad at first-person shooters that if someone has their back to me and I'm only 10 feet away and I open fire, I'll still lose. Like, that's how bad I am. There's bad and don't even bother playing. I'm at the don't even bother playing phase. I'm that bad. I don't know why. I don't know how it happened. I haven't played them in so long. I'm just terrible. And trust me, I played Rust and all those other ones for a while. I mean, there's no such thing as get good. You're just too damn old, I guess, at some point, because I can't do it, man. I can't. Which is a shame, because I like the crafting and stuff in those games, but that's it, man. I just can't. So there's really been nothing on the market. When this came along, I'm like, oh, thank God. I'm so happy. You know, I can do this old hobby again. It's been so long. Boy, this has been a long run, I tell you. But we're almost done. I think this is the last mob at this point, and then we're ready for the boss. Now, I honestly didn't, you know, I wouldn't, because of the levels of the boss, I don't think I'm going to be able to complete it, but I wanted to know, and plus it was nice just to be in a new instance. When you run these for so long, and you enter a new one, you're very happy about it just because it's new content, because you've seen that inside of that last instance you've been running for quite a long time. Oh no, I got to do the optional boss, I think. Let's see. This optional boss, I don't know if I run it on this run or not. I think I do, but because of this guy, I added this spell to mouse wheel down because he fears, and I didn't really have to deal with those mechanics until this guy. So that's because of this dude in here. I made that change and added the spell to my hotbar, or to the mouse wheel down. That's just kind of how it works when you do these kind of things. You just have to make changes as you go, because the mobs do different things. But overall, he didn't. This run, I don't think he feared me. Or at least feared me out of the room into danger, so it wasn't really a big deal. In terms of running the Paladin, one thing I noticed is the I can't remember the name of the blessing, the one that reduces threat. I only use that for bosses for the most part. For long fights, you definitely want that, although it sounds nice to have Blessing of Wisdom and stuff like that. If you don't run that, over time, eventually aggro will be ripped, or sometimes there's aggro reset mechanics, and having that blessing is pretty good. And it looks like I forgot a mob somehow, which is already going. This is not good at this point. I want to see if I can take him down, and then get back on this guy. Come on, get him down. Alright. Yeah, I'm pretty concerned here because I don't think I have any mana pots or anything. I jump with all my characters because my mouse key, I have the numpad plus symbol. I use that to jump with all characters to act as a cast canceling. I'm gonna heal with the Paladin to help with aggro and save mana on the priest. Let that spirit kick in for regen. Line of sight her. There we go. She does some damage. She's orange too. Already the mana situation's not looking too good.
Arise, my champion.
At your side, my lady.
Alright, let me get aggro on this dude. And then we'll see if I can take her out. At the very least, if I can take her out, I might be able to loot a hat before we die. Throw on some heals for aggro. If I put some more, if I did the talents, I could use get concentrate and uninterruptible healing. I've been debating whether to respec for that or not. I don't know how. I'm sure that would help with AoE threat. Got to be selective on the heals now. Alright, well, we might have a chance. Evocation, life tap the Warlock. Pretty low on health. This is gonna be tight, man. Can I do it? Can I do it? Yeah. Alright, and the shield drops. Beautiful. Ah, and the hat, man, life is good. I can't even use them yet, but hey, I'm happy. Plus the quest reward. That'll give me a nice sword replacement for this axe I've been using from RF. Not Dent, but the other one, the lower level Baron's instance with the... Not RFD, RFK, I think. It's from that one. Alright. Well, it's been an interesting journey. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I don't really enjoy doing commentary, but I figured I'd just do one. If you liked it, let me know. Alright, you guys have a good one.